Welcome to the show, guys. Got a great one lined up for you today. It's happy birthdays. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. A few people in Discord, the distinguished Nathan Oakley and the other distinguished gentleman. What's his name again?
Owen.
Owen.
Hello. I'm here.
Oh,
Owen will take it. He'll take that.
that was right on time, Adam.
Evening, guys.
Evening.
It's good to be here.
Do we having a banana already, or?
No, I just thought I just thought, listen, just let her bulge, man. Just let her budge.
Good evening, guys, and good evening, Owen, as we half introduce you.
Evening.
All right, Bob.
So we've already
More importantly,
go ahead.
welcome to the live audience. Good to have you all. Smash the super chat, support this channel, become a Patreon.
Mash it. So I had a little.
What do we do? Do we continue with the conversation we were having? Because we were just itching for you to round out whatever intro you've got going so we can carry on talking.
Speaking of which, Adam, where's my damn intro and outro?
I'm almost there. I think I've got the tune. So I'm just waiting for you to either invite or kick a few ballbusters out, and then I'm ready to go to semi-production.
Into semi-production, love it.
Might be yes, if you'd have heard what we were talking about while he had us on mute.
I might be kicked out if he heard that. Yeah.
I did say we.
He's finding
we
the right side. Sorry.
Go ahead. What was the conversation? Because I went into the intro. I can't hear you guys. I could see the levels bouncing up and down, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, nothing out of the ordinary.
Wait, it was. The question was, why was the Book of Enoch not included in the...
That was not the discussion.
It bloody was.
Actually. That's exactly what it was.
How in the heck did you get there from your video that we were just talking about?
It's precious little time that we're on mute and we get to talk about such forbidden things.
Ah.
Genuinely, that's what it was. Why it remained in the Ethiopian version.
It's easy for you to say.
It was not, was it? I was I was trying to put a P in there, John. Too many. But why it wasn't included in the later canons. And that's not to talk about Enoch 2 and stuff like that, just literally Enoch 1. But that was genuinely weird. I don't know how we got from why the Earth is flat, which is probably what we should go on to.
Yeah, the dinosaurs. No, we want to go back to the dinosaurs marching. I like that. I thought the video was outstanding. It did surprise me that she did say flat Earth. It did surprise me, but I was overcome by the cuteness. It was damn sure painful how cute it was, but there were bigger fish to fry, according to Nathan.
No. Obviously, I see my daughters all the time, so the cuteness isn't lost on me. You know, I appreciate they're extremely cute. But what shocked me was you go and pick up a kid from what is essentially a very posh private school, and she's very keen to sing me this song, so I get her buckled up in the back of the car. Off we go. She starts singing a song about dinosaurs making the Earth flat. And I almost lost control of the car. I was like, what did you say? I can't quite believe my ears. I was like, don't sing it again. I'm going to film you singing it, and I want you to show your mother. So I got the camera set up, and I'm like, called my wife in. Tell us what you learned at school today, Eleanor. Press record. And that's what she sung. I clarified with her. So they taught you that the dinosaurs make the Earth flat. Yes, Daddy. Okay.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
Well, although I was immediately cast down by my wife, who said I was reading way too much into it, I see it as potentially a good indicator of a potential actual paradigm change. You can't leave a whole load of 5-year-olds with that subliminal message ringing around in their head. I mean, they're going to be learning that song for a play, so she's going to be singing that for the next several months. So that's going to stay with her for life, and will have more impact than me saying anything about the subject at all. And that will have more impact. Shocking as that may sound to some audience members, her going to a drama class with a load of other 5-year-olds and singing about dinosaurs stamping out the earth to be flat, that will last. Me saying it won't. Just, yeah, whatever, daddy, will be what I get when she gets older. I know it. Everyone else knows it. That's kids. But a song like that just stays with you forever. And it shouldn't be, I say this with a really wry smile, shouldn't be allowed, right? Shouldn't be allowed. The fact that it is makes me go, wow, surely they must realise the implications of leaving a bunch of very young kids with that as it's literally paradigm changing from an early age. But there we go, that's my take on it. Anybody else got a take if they saw my video of my daughter singing about how dinosaurs march and make the earth flat?
I don't think this will be subject to copyright, but we are the dinosaurs. What do you think of that? We are the dinosaurs. We make the earth flat. I think that for when your kids are coming home with stuff saying, I'm non-binary, Dad, and you worry about these things, there are certain primary things you put in a young child's mind. And whilst your wife may not think of it like that, to actually hear something like that coming from the mainstream, which I think, as I said to you, people can try and reconcile and say, oh, well, what they mean is the big heavy dinosaurs, they're stomping on the earth and making it flat. It doesn't matter. Eleanor's not left with that level of comprehension. Dinosaurs make the earth flat. And now Clover knows also, because she wanted to join in, that double cute's to her. Like, it was cute one minute and then it became doubly cute. She knows and will sing. And in her subconscious, just like all of us in our subconscious when we were kids and we didn't give a shit that it was a ball, yeah, but we were taught it is and we moved on, deep down in there's a song. And that's what I think's relevant, that it's either got past the state or it's been put in by the state. Either way, it's heartening, I would say.
Anybody else got an opinion? Happy to widen this out because I think it's fairly significant. So I don't know if you're happy for me to ask anybody else who's here.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's an interesting
please.
development, right?
Robin.
It's an interesting development, and yeah, we'll see how much it stands the test of time, if they're gonna repeat that introduction, if they're gonna keep it, right? We'll see. But it's interesting.
More for any more?
Oh, just one thing we said pre-show as well, that as I saw it, be interested to what Riley thinks, because, and maybe with years in mind, small steps, whether it's whatever the cause is, it's out there now and it's in the psyche, which I think's interesting. So whether it's just a Snowden kind of in the education system that's got something fed through, it still shows that things are creeping through. And to me, it's not something you can just it just means that, because like I said, you're not dealing with adults where you're putting something in a kid's song that stays with them for the rest of their life. There was a point on was it this week or last week, Nathan? I can't remember. But somebody just went on about who built the ark, Noah, and instantly it resonates back through you. So to have those things implanted in a kid's head fundamentally that's not come from the parents, I think might not make a difference today. And I might be in a bit woolly there, but I do think there is a significance to it that, at least for them two anyway, do you know what I mean? They'll know, and it'll certainly resonate with them having you as their dad, Nathan. You know what I mean? So
I don't want to give you any impressions that I teach my kids flat Earth. I know there's plenty of people out there that do. I don't. You know, when it comes to heliocentric training, you get the same as any other kid in that respect. So it's in all the books that I use, or me and my wife use, I should say, and we don't brush over it. When they ask questions about it, we give them the option to believe whatever they like. You know, we say, well, there's lots of different people who think different things about the sky, and we'll give them a few examples. But I don't explicitly say this is how you should think about the world. In fact, most often the times I don't even tell them about the paradigm that we set out in Flat Earth Debate or on Ballbusters. Just don't tell them. The reason I don't is because there's no need. You know, half the time they're in the next room, they can probably overhear what's going on. It's part of their life whether I want it to be or not. There's no point pushing it on them. Things like this, you're like, well, that's a job I don't have to concern myself with then. The school's done it. Unbelievable. I'm still slightly aghast.
Is this going to be a public performance?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, this is going to be coming up then, right? Is it just going to be for the school patrons, or is it going to be open to the public where they can come and watch it?
I mean, it'll be parents, I assume. I don't know.
Very interesting.
Say I don't know, not because I don't know and I'm an unconcerned parent, but more because COVID restrictions meant that the Christmas play that we were going to go and see wasn't saw or seen. We had to watch it on a crappy video, which is just the way of things in these times. You know, I'll accept that. But nonetheless, you know, that Christmas play went out and has been distributed on a video, albeit privately, to the people who have kids in that particular class in that particular school. I would hope I get to see that particular play for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Sure. That's very interesting. I thought it just might be something they were practicing and it wasn't. It was just in-house and that's it. But yeah, I thought about it and I said, well, wait a second. Is this going to be like a formal presentation? And like you said, all the parents come, right? But I don't know how big the school is, but usually those things are quite large.
It's not a particularly big school, as I said. I know Adam said earlier, well, it's come from the state. Well, it's not. It's a private school. But there we go. We're still going to reach certain regulations and rules, I assume. They're going to be governed the same as any other school.
that makes it more likely it's an individual to me. It makes it easier to sneak past, doesn't it? Because there wasn't an overly woke message in there. So it probably makes more sense it's come from it, but still pertinent to me. Like I said, there's a group of kids growing up that are going to have that, just like Who Built the Ark? Noah. Still got to sing it. Do you know what I mean? That resonates from my youth still today. You know what I mean? And that will resonate to them, and not just them two, but whoever's on that stage and their siblings. So respect to whoever stuck that in that posh private school syllabus.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, Whole World in His Hands and those sorts of songs, you know, they stick with you because you hear them the first time when you're 5, and all of your peers are singing along with you in an assembly or whatever.
It reminds me of John Dee. Because, you know, he's got to go and teach that syllabus. But he does his best to make his students independent thinking. So to analyse what they're being taught as well. Not poo-poo it, not attack it, but just to appraise it. And he has to do that in similar ways as well. This is at a slightly higher level, GCSE to A-level level, but do you know what I mean? But it's a similar way of just a clever way. You're not directly saying anything, but like I say, subconsciously it's there now, and it'll resonate with them kids no matter what. Right? So,
Just a disclaimer for any teachers watching: do not risk your careers over this subject matter. It's just not worth it. You know, As
No.
much as it pisses me off the people who are in this community that are on the opposite side that know the truth, as far as I'm concerned, if they're an intelligent person and then continue to perpetuate a lie, in fact, push it even more, I despise those people, if I'm honest. Whereas the people like John D and other teachers who are in this situation, I do actually have a fair degree of pity for them. I think it's a sad situation to find yourself in, especially if you've dedicated. This is like the complete antithesis of what I say about our opponents, by the way. But you've dedicated your life to learning about a subject, and in many ways, you find out that a chunk of what you've learned isn't actually science. For example, you go that kind of robs you of a fair old chunk of time and money and effort and all the rest of the things that go along with it. That's a big shame. I have to get over it, but it's still a shame.
I'd like to get back to the syllabus with Adam, since I think we've exhausted this one a little bit. Very interesting, though. I'd like to get back to the syllabus. Now, what do they call many syllabuses? Do they call them syllabuses?
Could be syllabuses, syllabusi, or syllabusizes.
What about just one? Wouldn't it be a syllabi?
Well, then wouldn't just a single bus be a buy?
No.
No, I have no idea then.
This is really important. This is really important stuff. I'm getting an echo. Where am I getting echo from?
Could be me.
Yeah.
It's just a thing as a whole, the syllabus.
And I just thought about it. When he said syllabus, I said, singular, it should just be a syllabi.
Yeah, it's syllabi.
Yeah, but they call it the syllabus.
That's singular.
No, they said, I can recall on many of occasions telling the class to pull out your syllabus.
Yeah, but you're
You can
going to
have
pull
things
out
end in
one
S.
book at a time, right? So
You can have things that
singular.
end in S and aren't plural.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Pull out your walrus. Doesn't mean you've got two of them.
Syllabuses.
Did you say something about a walrus?
Yeah. If I say pull out your walrus, got an S on the end, but it doesn't mean you've got two of them.
I never said it did.
All right, so you can pull out your syllabus. It doesn't mean you've got syllabuses.
Okay, is it syllabuses or syllabi? Which one is it?
It's syllabi or syllabuses is the plural.
Both.
Syllabi. Okay.
Damn, it's both. Shit. No wonder it's so confusing.
That's all right if you use them. If you use them in the same argument, that's an equivocation fallacy.
I love the way you spotted that.
Isn't it the same thing? If you, unless you're comparing and contrasting the two, it wouldn't be, right?
Right.
No, but when you're talking apparent, it's not. That was
an interesting discussion, man.
I stumbled. I admit that, and that's why I thought you get for noticing it.
I couldn't say anything. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, right? Because it seems like everyone wants to talk on Nathan's show now at the same time.
There's just one dude that's recently joined that caused that. Yeah, you pointed it out when we were doing it inadvertently with the horizon. So we were describing it as apparent, but equivocating between not actual apparent, like apparent size, and appearing apparent, as in you can see it.
Yep.
And we were contrasting the two. And QE dropped me a message and it's like, careful, you are actually using an equivocation fallacy right now. He didn't say it in those exact words, but I was like, no, that's worth highlighting. We do it ourselves, we are all human, except QE.
No, I miss him. Go ahead, Adam. What did you want to say?
This was the final point on it. Is it, when you're in debate, and you're the master of debate, so I do want to refer it to you, is it an equivocation fallacy if you don't get caught?
No.
So if your opponent genuinely doesn't pick up that, because like I said, because we were chatting with Arwen, it was about that sun position and all those sorts of things, and we're in it. And like I said, there was a point where I'm pausing, and I know I'm doing it. I don't want to have to go into the explanation of redefining it for that purpose specifically. And so technically, in law, is it a real equivocation fallacy if you're not caught by your opponent, not after the fact?
It's
Well,
not.
there's also if you're attempting to catch your opponent by using it so that they'll use it and run with the argument, so you can show them how dumb their argument is.
Set them up.
So you're essentially using it. Yeah, you're using it as rhetoric, not as an argument, basically.
It's not a lie if you believe it. Something like that. Thanks, George Costanza.
Depends on the purpose. So if your intention is to convince the audience and you use a logical fallacy and it achieves the purpose of convincing the audience, for example, the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy with antipodal star rotation. If you put that argument to somebody and they're convinced as a result, and as QE says, if you actually believe the argument yourself, you don't even realize it's fallacious. There's no lie occurred. There's no deception occurred. It's just the information that was passed from one person to another was incorrect. That's all that it means. Now, for somebody on the outside to step in and go, you do realize that's actually a fallacious argument because, and then they lay out the fallacy that they've used, at that point, obviously the person's aware that they've used a fallacy. Now, in debate, you would hope that at that point the audience realizes that typically in debate what actually happens, at least in my experience, is the person will try and offer up half subterfuge that the audience doesn't notice, or in the vein hope that the audience doesn't notice so they can run with the same fallacy again 30 seconds later. I hope you don't notice.
Yeah, or the conclusion of their fallacious reasoning. That's what usually happens. I'm getting feedback from you, Nathan. Yeah, serious feedback. Oh, by the way, I got into a argument with somebody on underneath one of your videos. I usually don't do that anymore because my post. We talked about that before, but it was about this logical fallacies. And I couldn't believe it. He's a real numpty. He thought just an Elmer Fudd sophist, right? And he kept going on and on about, well, all you guys do is point out fallacies. It doesn't make the argument wrong. I'm like, are you a numpty? He goes, yeah, there's all kind of arguments out there. They discuss this, that, you know, the argument could still, or the conclusions can still be true, right? And I'm sitting there, well, wait a second. Let's think about this. What are the parts of an argument, right? You have your premises, conditional, they could be conditional, premises, and then you have the premises that lead to the conclusion. So if your premises are faulty, using faulty logic, then that train wrecks your conclusion based on those premises. So I don't know. That you must have been Jedi mind tricked by somebody. I don't know, but I just left the argument. I said, go ahead.
I know the reason why this happened. Because there's a handful of people out there that like to throw out that when someone calls foul because of a fallacy being used, as you've just described, that makes the argument void. However, they would assert that fallacy would state that just because a fallacy has been used, that's faulty logic, therefore making the argument void. It doesn't necessarily make the conclusion ultimately void. However, that premise, the fallacy premise, works on the prerequisite that you can actually prove the statement used at the end of the faulty reasoning, that's the fallacious logic, as true. So, for example, if I describe by way of a formal logical fallacy that my car is red, then I give a faulty reason and then use that faulty reason to prove that the car is red, and you say you've used a formal logical fallacy, you've affirmed the consequent to describe your car as red, and then I go, but look, my car is actually red, and based on the prerequisite that I can actually prove the conclusion that initially was deemed void because the argument is void. If you use logic to prove a true statement, the argument is still void.
There is no argument. No. If you use a logical fallacy, I see where you're going, but listen to this. If you use a logical fallacy, like I said, that's why I pointed out the premises, the parts of an argument. And if you use fallacious reasoning to come to that conclusion, and like you said, the entire argument is void, there is no conclusion from an argument. There is no argument that your car is red because it's a what or an is. It either is or it isn't. There isn't an argument. Follow?
The line I'd take there, John, is whatever the colour of your car is, the line of argument that you use to demonstrate it is faulty. Therefore, start again.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that the car isn't red, but whatever your way of proving it to me was fallacious. So let's start again.
Yeah, but the only way to prove
the car's still got a colour.
Hold on. The only way to prove that is to show it. There is no argument. Follow?
Okay, let me try to.
Because I could
you can't definitively.
I've been given an F, right? I'm your another bash. Oh, okay. You've got a book that has a color swatch in it. There's a bazillion colors in it. You grab the color swatch and you say to your friend, "There will be a Ford Mondeo in cerulean green." And the guy next to you says, "Why?" "Because it's a color in the book." And the guy next to you says, "Just because it's a color in the book doesn't mean someone's chosen it. I know there's millions of them, but there is a statistical likelihood that no one's picked that color."
What
the guy
in
says,
the
"No."
hell?
Well, that's an argument for whether or not there's that color in existence.
No,
right?
that's not an argument. It either is or it isn't. That's not argument.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
it's
Citation.
a demonstrable prop. It's a demonstrable. It's a demonstrable. It doesn't require argumentation. So it's a proposition. My car is red, right? My car is red as a proposition. If you can demonstrate that it's red, you don't need an argument.
No, my argument would be, hold on, based on the swatch alone, there is a car in a particular color of a particular make. If I hold up the book and say, because it exists in the book, there must be one of those cars in existence. And we get into an argument back and forth about whether or not there is one, just because there's the existence of the color, therefore someone must have chosen it, is my argument, right?
No.
Well, that is an argument. Now, if by chance a car in that color happens to be in the car park and I point it out, by proving that car exists in that color was nothing to do with the argument I made to prove it existed. I.e., QE's point stands. The argument is still void.
That's what I said as well. The argument you used has nothing to do with the validation. The car will still have a colour. The argument you used is to state because there was an option, the mere fact that there was a probability of that colour being selected means it was reified into existence. It doesn't reify it. It just means it's still a mathematical probability that is the probability being born out of the number of other options. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that somebody actually, it could have been like sick green, nobody would ever pick it. And you know what I mean? So you can't reify a probability of option into a reality of choice.
That was quick
and that's
on
the
your
route. Yeah, but that's the route that was taken in terms of the logical fallacy to get to the fact that your car has a colour or a particular colour. Or there would be a car with a particular colour.
I can't believe this is very important. It sounds pedantic, but it's very important.
This is probability, kind of mathematical probability.
It is. Yeah.
This is ands and ors and all sorts of stuff. But this is where people can reify probability into reality. And just because there's a probability of a car being a particular colour doesn't mean anybody actually made that choice to reify it into that colour. It's still a probability they wouldn't.
Turn it into the actual fallacy. If there is the option to have a Ford Mondeo in green, then there will be a Ford Mondeo in green. Here's the color swatch showing that the option is available to have it in green. Therefore, there is a Mondeo in existence in that color. That's a if P then Q, Q therefore P statement, fallaciously deducing that because the option is available, that car does exist in that color. Now, as I said earlier, fallacy, which is the whole point of this discussion, would say that disproving that logic, which you do by pointing out that it's affirming the consequent, doesn't necessarily disprove there isn't that color in existence, because one could be in the car park. It just means that your argument to prove that that color is in existence is void. But, as I said right at the start, it works on the prerequisite, if you're going to call fallacy, that you can actually prove the damn thing that you're trying to argue. You can't just say, well, you've proven that it's a fallacy, therefore the argument's void. I still think it's true. Well, because what evidence are you going to present now? You've got to then actually prove it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
in other words, if you use if P then Q, Q therefore P, and it's called foul, proven to be void, you've actually got to stroll out into the car park and show and prove your statement to be true by a different means than the logic proven to be void.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, the converse was your car, as I said, your car does have a colour. You know what I mean? Now, the point is how you're going to prove that. Because you demonstrate that is a fallacy to demonstrate that it's this colour because of whatever. You know what I mean? But the car will have a colour. Now, you've got to, the simplest way, I think it's John, as he always does, cuts it off at the knees straight away before the debate is, well, just show it me. Because that's the most fundamental way of doing it. But within that, there has to be an ultimate way of proving this to then demonstrate that it's a fallacy or a fallacy. Without the proof, there is no definition of the fallacy. Right.
The problem is we're dealing with total dicks. And in the same argument, obviously you can then draw the comparison afterwards, but just to keep on the same analogy, if you like, the kind of person we deal with, say, right, so you're telling me that just because the swatch exists, I should believe that your car is this color in this swatch. The guy's like, yeah. You get to pointing out that it's a fallacy and he hasn't proven his point with the logic he's used. You go, okay, right, so the only way you can prove it is now showing me your car. And the guy goes, I don't drive a car.
Very well done. I think you know what? Maybe in a couple weeks on the BALLBUSTERS menu, we might go over that logical fallacy presentation again. I'm thinking. It's been a while.
What's
But we have some more important things to attend to, because guess what today is?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Is it somebody's birthday?
There's birthdays. It's 14 days removed from birthdays, but we want to celebrate them. We have this guy. All right.
Swan.
Go ahead.
I said Black Swan. I can't see what you've got presented, but I thought you said 14 days removed. So I'm like, well, Black Swan.
Yes. Yep, and
Thank
the same birthday. Seconds later is that one. Microseconds. They're almost simultaneously. The sextant angle.
We're looking at a sextant coming up next.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
the first picture I had was George Enoch. No. When
What?
you said happy birthday. Well, because there's a lag on the screen. There we go. There's the sextant arrived now on screen. That's the lag to the UK. So the first picture I had was old George, the traitor to humanity, that he is. So I was hoping we weren't wishing him happy birthday.
Oh,
so
I
happy
got
birthday,
you.
Black Swan.
Yeah, I'm tracking with you. Yeah. So we have birthdays to celebrate, right? And it's shocking that this first argument, I seriously lowballed because I said that it'd take them 9 months to get it. They still haven't got it. Not a single baller that I've heard actually got it. You can very rarely even hear them when you ask them to repeat the argument. They'll try to paraphrase it, and their paraphrase is all screwed up. So I don't know. They're never going to get it. I think most of it, about 90% of it, is purposeful, not getting it. And the other 10% is they just they can't hold more than two connected thoughts to make a coherent conclusion. I'm just spitballing.
That's not it. Tell them, Nathan. Tell them why they don't get it. They'll have to what?
They don't get it because to get it is to appreciate the Earth's not a sphere. So I think it was actually Arwin. You're giving me too much credit, Neil. It was Arwin that pointed this out initially. Get it is to appreciate the Earth's not a sphere. So they can't get it. It's not that they are incapable or want to lie, or I just think that it's not a possibility to remain a baller and understand the Black Swan argument. They can't get it.
Right, they block the information out. So they can feel when the information that would dispel the entire thing is approaching them, and then they brace against it on a visceral level. Very spiritual event, actually, for them, right? To them, it's like a religious event. Seriously, it is a religion. The ball is a religion, and you brace against the information that would dispel the entire thing, and you get rewarded in the moment. But yeah, they don't learn. They just stay as they are, and they keep using the same system.
They're kind of in a tricky position at the moment because they're being forced to recognise the Black Swan for what it is, because their rebuttals in regards to the sextant arguments require elevation angles, and when they claim that you've got a geometric physical horizon to work off when you're doing the geometry with tangent planes, that's back to the original assertion that they've got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon again. Earth curve back in its geometric position for them to use the sextant with the tangent plane that they'll correct to flat by way of dip correction, not necessarily with an artificial horizon. Well, those are big problems when you haven't got a geometric horizon anymore. And they know it.
But they can't admit it, so they just spend their time like twirling around it and figuring out ways to distract away from that. Business as usual.
Well, there's been two reactions, actually. There's been Charles' flat earth math reaction, which is to lie. They don't need R. They don't need to assume a sphere. When you definitely do if you're a ball-believing fundy. Or the Where's Wally approach, which is when asked about the flat plane that you're measuring, declared that, of course, it's flat, measuring it on Earth, in reference to an elevation angle off a flat plane. And when asked, why aren't you measuring it with a curved adjacent? That would be a curved surface, as you should believe in being a ball-believing fundy. I was told, no, I don't. The other approach is to accept the reality that you're actually faced with and dealing with when you're measuring angles, which is to say that you're dealing with a flat plane. Must be. You couldn't get an angle if you weren't. And then when you're asked why you're not measuring a curved surface, because you're not, you say, because I'm not. It's flat. That's the reaction we've had from ball-believing idiots. Lie or declare the Earth is flat. That's the position they're left in.
Gotta love it. Go ahead.
As long as they keep believing, it's all good, right? So as I said, like defending the globe and blotting out your consciousness and all that is like a religious experience to them. I know from personal experience. And yeah, they don't need to learn, right? They don't want to learn. They just want to figure out a way to solidify their beliefs.
They've got no way around this at the moment, Arwin, so I'm going to be challenging you to a certain degree, or at least leaning on Baldwin, to see if we can come up with a little bit of help for them. Why not? It was fun. But at the moment, unlike typical Baldwin-esque arguments where all you've got to try and do, or you personally have got to try and achieve, is slipping in the begging the question with a mild disclaimer it's going to be reified in your example. So long as you can slip that disclaimer in at some point, you get to beg the question as Baldwin and you have your little bit of fun sometimes. But in this instance, I'm going to, I'll put money on it, but say it's going to be a challenge for Baldwin to actually be able to overcome the elevation angle argument. Because there's no opportunity to beg the question first. You can't put that disclaimer. The typical ball, you know what I'm talking about, Armin, right? You know what I mean. Your tactic is slipping that disclaimer. Well, how are you going to do that when you're measuring a adjacent that you don't have to get the angle? I don't see how you can do that. So over the next week, I'm not saying do something now, but over the next week in debate, I just want you to have a little think about it and think, how can I beg the question of a sphere when I've got to measure it flat? See what you come up with. Just tax your brain.
Well, that's very quickly answered, right? Terrestrial refraction, right? I know we can attain R because of that using physical or visual means or radar and all that to establish the actual R value, but it can still be derived from equator span. And so, yeah, that's just how it works, right?
Yeah,
We
bring that argument.
know it has to be a globe because it looks so flat. Terrestrial refraction.
There is a
Okay,
response.
let's just deal with that, just because I can't let him leave here thinking that that's going to be useful to him. No, Black Swan. Black Swan. Okay, Black Swan. Moving on.
Terrestrial refraction.
You can't get the R for terrestrial refraction. Black Swan. You haven't got a geometric horizon to derive R from. So you can't get R for terrestrial refraction, which has an R in it, if you haven't got a geometric horizon to measure to get R from.
Yeah, we might not be able to measure R, but we can still derive.
Don't do this on the fly. We're going to ruin Ballbusters if you do this on the fly. I just want you to think about it.
Right.
I'm muted there to let you both go. I thought you was going to actually have a go at that there and then. So.
Well, according to Jose G. Gonzalez, I was told yesterday when I went on there in chat that the horizon is caused by the curve of the Earth. So they're just holding their ears, not listening to anything, and they're claiming it's the curve of the Earth.
That would make it geometric, yeah. So this will bring me nicely then to the bit I tried to get in, which is what Brewhiff and Brian. Brian's just posted a little bit of comment between the two. So this is their response, basically. At Brian's logic, by geometric horizon, do you really mean unrefracted horizon? Yeah. I'll read Brian's response, which starts with exactly John's response at Ruhif. Ha 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 ha. Unrefracted, Glenn. You are a comedian. I mean the geometric horizon that it was claimed for centuries that boats were sailing over. Glenn, boats sail over refraction. Give it up, man. You can do so much better on this side, the winning side. Yeah, nicely said, Brian.
Then I asked him, then I said, gas pressure needs containment. And they told me, they gave it back a question. They said, does it? Can you believe that?
That's the level, isn't it, Neil? Yeah. They can't affirm something with agreement to move forward, something that's not an argument until the point that they know you're about to hang them on their model with it. So the only retort is to pose it back to you as a question. For you to now have to validate what? Natural law?
Correct. That's what I said. You're throwing out natural law?
That's a win then, isn't it? You've just got to point that out, haven't you?
The audience's benefit. You don't have a geometric horizon. You only have one horizon. And the horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is a geometric horizon. And it's the one we don't see. That's why we're having to bandy words about non-refracted horizon. What, a second horizon that we don't see? Because your refracted horizon relies on an R value you can't measure if it's refracted. Paradoxically, you can't measure the value your refraction depends on. Oh no, Black Swan.
Yes, sir. It's like whack-a-mole. Any direction they go, they're finished. There is a Louisville Slugger nail spike waiting for them. Every direction or any direction they go. Except the red herring fallacy where they'll go off on another tangent because they better do that quick because it's their ass.
Right. They were being told refraction. This brings us back nicely to the beginning point, which is to say they've got nowhere to go. They're trapped between a rock and a hard place. Because what's that, Roofy? Non-refracted horizon, because obviously we're being told we see a refracted horizon non-geometric. That's a bit of a problem for all those people on your same side that are currently drawing straight lines to tangent points to justify how you use dip correction to get that straight line flat again. So you haven't got that straight line. Hey, Bob the science guy, Ruhif, you two need round one, ding, 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 because one of you's drawing straight lines to a refracted horizon and the other one's justifying how refracted it is. Seems like you've got some working out to do, lads. Have you got this straight line? No, you haven't. We've debunked it with the Black Swan. Bob's still drawing it and Ruhif's telling us how refracted it is. Yeah?
They're like Elmer Fuds, man. They're like retarded Elmer Fuds back and forth with each other. And they think they're intellectuals, which is hilarious.
Yeah, but I'm being dead serious. Obviously a problem. One that they've stuck their head in the sand for over 2 years. So that you say refraction, like Ruhif's doing. Okay. And now you want to explain how your dip correction to a refracted horizon is going to work in this diagram that we're being shown at the moment with a straight line tangent point horizon that you're telling us is refracted, Rufif, because you need to square that with all the other Muppets that are telling us that we've got a dip horizon that's going to be corrected to flat. Obviously, we're going to be measuring angles off tangent planes. No. Just off a flat surface with an elevation angle. But obviously, a justification with a straight line to a geometric horizon that you say is refracted, that needs to be squared with them. They haven't got a straight line, have they, Roofy? You're telling us how refracted it is. You better tell Bob, Roofy, you are now charged with that. You better go and tell Bob how that line better be bent. Right? That's what you're telling us. So I'll just pass it on to Bob, science guy. This straight line dip correction we've already overcome with the sextant trap. You don't need a horizon with the sextant. Right, Bob? Yeah, this is all a big problem for them guys because they're the ones that should be fighting amongst themselves with their refracted lines to non-geometric horizons versus, well, of course the sextant works. Look at this straight line that I bring back up to flat.
It's only apparently flat, Nathan.
Oh, brother.
According to Roofy, he's saying it's bent. So, better square it with your own sort.
That's correct.
Right. So you know it's a globe because it looks so flat.
I've just, as we're celebrating birthdays, and I know I've just put a picture, John, if you could share it. And I know the Black Swan and the Sextant go together, but
Where?
some of his maths, I've stuck it in BALLBUSTERS live stream.
Oh, I'm not there.
Where have I got to put it?
All right, I got no. I got it. Give me a second.
It's just the point. The Sextant follows lovely. For some of us that had geek, like I say, from a geeky point of view, that had looked at it, I went and kind of derived backwork the formula to work with the presupposition or the reification that the horizon is the leading edge of a ball.
It's up.
And yeah, lovely. And so for me, when I did that, it was a very useful thing to see the implications because I don't think it was prior to the Black Swan I bothered to look at it and to actually, I'd say backwork it to see the implications. But when you do, it is when you come out and look at the black swan, you see that R suddenly becomes not just 3959, but 250,000 miles, the distance in the heliocentric model to the moon. So a ridiculous but this is the reality of how ball maths plays out. So even prior to the extra support that the sextant brings, from a geeky point of view, the black swan, when you look at the maths, absolutely destroys them, because the way in which the R value reciprocates to the distance to the horizon absolutely destroys any. It doesn't destroy the notion that you're on a ball, but the implications on which the horizon could be related to R in any way are completely destroyed, because the way in which they multiply out is just so profound, as demonstrated in the black swan. So that was a bit long-winded, but like from a maths point of view, it's very profound to me, and is, I say, from a geeky point of view, a really good proof it's not a
Or in
ball.
summary, you could say that at best you've debunked the radius of the Earth.
I was just going to say
Yeah, no.
Destroyed.
Anyway, back in the past, this was one of their argumentation styles in regards to the black swan. They would just say, oh, well, maybe they're lying about the size of the globe, but it's still a globe. And so we're still in the same heliocentric universe. We just have a bigger Earth. The problem is if you scale the Earth up to that size and the sun remains in its same path, you end up with the entire universe, quote unquote, orbiting over a small section of a giant sphere. And so you still destroy the paradigm. You cannot have a bigger Earth. It just doesn't happen. As soon as you scale the Earth up, you destroy the orbital mechanics.
You're correct. The orbital mechanics have been reverse engineered into R, so you can't change R because that's where its origins lie. So yes, that's absolutely correct. However, when you said change the scale, think of that in more physical terms. What are you actually describing when you say that's the case? In other words, when they say, well, maybe it's just a much bigger sphere, what they're actually suggesting is that Earth is like a giant ball that can be pumped up, inflated, and is bigger one day than the other. Because obviously there's a set in stone R value with the claim of Earth being a sphere with the distance to the horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's their claim. That's the fundamental premise. So to say, well, it's bigger, it's like, so it's grown. The sphere has physically got bigger over, not just a little bit bigger either. We're talking about, in the heliocentric description of Earth as a sphere, you're talking about Earth being inflated to the size of the orbital path that the moon is claimed to be in the heliocentric world. Imagine how far they say the moon is away in its orbital path. The Earth would be bigger than that orbital path of the moon if it was taken to be the calculations of the geometry based on the black swan image.
Well, it would be safe to say that a bigger Earth than the current assumption would make no geographical sense, for starters.
That's what I think. That's what I was going to say. Is that citation Lisa's point that whilst you can scale the stellar objects and their size have no real implications to their scalar functions, in consequence, if you're going to do that, they've already set everything, and if you're going to increase things concordantly based on reification of the horizon, unfortunately that scales the ball, which fits in the heliocentric paradigm, but what it doesn't fit is what Armin says, is in terms of actually reality on the plane. Suddenly this thing that you could reify into a ball, all of that changes.
No, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the heliocentric paradigm either. You lose orbital mechanics and you end up with everything just floating above a big ball. So it'd be like if you take, imagine a cue ball or an 8-ball, how it has a big black ball and then it has a little white circle on the top. All the stellar objects would be above that white circle. They wouldn't be orbiting like they would have been before.
Can you expand on that? Because I don't know if anyone else is. It's scalar. It just, so from just that model, just ignoring we're here, just looking at that heliocentric model, however big it is, they're all balls. orbiting balls, next to balls. However big the balls are, as long as the distance between the balls is scalar to the size of the ball, then what's the variation in the model? Do you understand my point of contention? Or
it's the angles of propagation. So the sun travels over the equator. That's the reason why the equator is called the equator, because that's the path of the sun, right? So if you alter the equator to a new location, the sun is still traveling over the previous equator. So the sun would get a smaller and smaller footprint over the Earth if you increase the size of the Earth.
That's a scalar effect on the Earth. You were saying it has an effect within just that kind of solar system, not any perceivable effect on the Earth. So we're in agreement.
Like everything in the sky, in the sky is just angular sizes, right?
Yeah.
So you could scale all that, but as soon as you scale the Earth, the path that those objects take over the surface of the Earth changes. So it's like a shotgun spread. You're getting a tighter and tighter shotgun spread. Yeah, and that shotgun spread is only over a portion of the Earth.
Citation, please. Can I have a go?
We're back to my point. Yeah.
If I rephrase it slightly, imagine that you've got a golf ball, right? And that golf ball's got a rubber band around the center of it, what we're going to call the equator. And based on the heliocentric model, we're going to say that the light, it's going to be the sun in this example, is going to shine above and below that rubber band line. Yeah. Now, as you increase the scale of the golf ball to a beach ball, perception of where the sun moves from that ground point we're going to call the rubber band, yeah, that is no longer around the center of a much bigger ball. Still got the same exact size and the same diameter, right? So where is that rubber band if you increase the golf ball to a beach ball? Well, it's just sat on the top, a little ring on the top. Well, the perception of the sun's movement is still going to be above and below that line on a much bigger sphere. It means that suddenly you've got this vast area that's unaccounted for underneath that doesn't match any of the stars anymore. That's his point.
Correct.
I saw that whole thing in my mind.
Correct, and that's the argument. Well, not really. I think you're still thinking that if you scale the Earth, that the equator would stay the same.
Why would I think that?
I don't know. It's hard to gauge because you're
that
not.
Was my initial point. That was my point in relation to Arwin, and I said he highlighted the issue. It's on the surface of the Earth that the issue of changing the scalar function of the solar system is the issue where it's detectable.
Yeah, I'll draw a picture for you real quick.
You're in agreement.
The geography.
I don't need a picture. I've just explained it in a more eloquent way. Yeah.
Meanwhile, as I said, your point's valid, but the implication of my describing it going from a golf ball to a beach ball, times that by a factor of about 1,000. It's not just growing from a golf ball size ball to a beach ball size ball. It's growing from a golf ball size ball to a ball that's several miles in diameter. It's just vastly bigger by scale. Right, when they use the black swan to reify that into a physical geometric horizon. The only reason that's even needed, that's another point. Right, why would they say that? Well, because the maths lays down that the horizon is physical, is geometric. But when you say, well, here it is beyond your claimed geometry at 3959, you go, well, maybe it's still physical. Maybe the horizon's still Earth curve. It's just a much bigger ball. The horizon's much further away. The Earth curve edge geometric horizon is now much further away because it's much bigger than they said. And not only is it suddenly much bigger than they said, it's got bigger overnight. Actually changes with the weather quite frequently, but that's a different point. But moreover, you've got the idea that it's still physical. No, that's why I strap on the end of the modus tollens the fact that the horizon isn't physical. It's not just the Earth's not a sphere radius 3959. The horizon's not physical anymore. It must be at that limitation to be physical and isn't. So it isn't physical. It's just that simple. Horizon's not Earth curve.
Well, let's just say the horizon is not obstructing anything, right? That's really the point of the geometric horizon, that it obstructs things behind it. And the horizon never does that, right? It can be close by, far away, but it never obstructs anything.
Again, and it must, if it's Earth curve, like we described with a hill. If there's a hill in your view, you're high up looking down on another hill, there's stuff behind the hill. There's never going to be a circumstance where the geometry of that hill is behind the things it was formerly obscuring. Cannot be. That's not how things work. You never see the shop that's on the other side of the hill that you're walking towards suddenly appear one day on top of the hill with the hill behind the shop. Well, that's unusual. Normally that hill's in front of the shop and I can't see it from this point because the hill's in the way. Today, however, magical 7/6 terrestrial refraction has meant that I can see the shop and the hill's miles away. Hey, well, what do you know about strange old sphery stuff that goes on? Oh, who knows? No, that never happens. The hill's always in the way. And if Earth curve was the hill that is in the way bit of their geometry, then it would always be in the way. It's just that simple. It must be physical if they're going to claim it's Earth curve. They do claim it's Earth curve. We've just debunked it.
That was the
Happy
purpose
birthday.
of the. Go on, Nate. Sorry.
Happy birthday, Black Swan. That's all I was going to say.
I know John brought the picture up, but that was the purpose of that little meme. You know, tired of not knowing of what size of ball you live on today. Yeah, simply take your distance to the horizon, square it, multiply it by 2640, and divide it by your observer height. Then you'll know what size of ball you're on today, and that's, while sarcastic, the inverse of what they've been claiming with regards to the horizon. And if you are going to reify and claim it is this, then these are the implications, not for us, but for them to adopt. So on a cloudy day, you may be on a smaller ball, boys. Yeah? On a cold, clear, crisp day, you could be on a ball that's got an R value equivalent for us, for you, I nearly said for us, equivalent for you from here to the moon. And that's the reality of the implications if you reify the horizon as a ball, whether it's a unrefracted or refracted version. It really doesn't matter, Ruhif, yeah, because the actual mathematical implications of doing so are absolutely astronomical when they play out with the numbers that we see just demonstrated in the first Black Swan image. Happy birthday, Black Swan.
Is this where I have to do my co-host duty and make sure that I'll keep the conversation going while QE disappears?
Negative. I'm still here. I just want to let her budge.
And although we labelled the year 2021 the age of the sextant, I think you're right that the two arguments go hand in hand. The moment you debunk their geometric horizon, you give birth to, if you will, sextant argument automatically. It's kind of by default thing.
It puts the bullets in the sextant's gun.
That's a good way of putting it.
Picture.
It's very simple formula, right? So the Black Swan debunks the globe, and the sextant proves it's flat.
Yeah, I like that, Alwyn. That's yeah.
It's correct. That's the way it went. It was, I told you, it was microseconds. Probably
Right, and
less.
any variation in claiming the size is different. Also debunks it. I made an easier graphic to understand. So if you look in the BALLBUSTERS live stream, you could see the top image there above the blue line is the heliocentric universe. And then the bottom image is what would happen to the heliocentric universe if you increase the diameter of the ball. And then the extreme bottom image is an example of a conical universe, which would be what would happen if you increase the size of the ball based on the paths of the things in the sky at present, as they're claimed to be.
You want me to post these? You want me to put these up? These look like a 3-year-old drew.
I think I get them. Is the first one? Are these increasing the size of the ionosphere or increasing the size of the sphere, but not increasing the size of both?
It's increasing the size of the sphere.
In the bottom one.
The bottom one is what happens when you get an extreme size. You end up with all of the celestial objects being conically arranged above a small fixed point on the top of the sphere, or bottom or side, or whatever you want to call it.
I think
it absolutely destroys.
Sorry.
Yeah, Nathan's point was pretty sound.
Was increasing the scale of both at the same time. Now,
no, you can't. You can't, because we know the path that the objects take over the ground. So you can't increase the scale of both.
And that was the point Arwen made. That it's the on the ground pattern that we know has relevance and reality to us that validates that you certainly can't change the scale on the ground. Yeah?
Correct. So if you have a fixed point, which is the path of the objects over the ground is fixed, if you increase the scale of the Earth, you end up tightening the universe into this small sliver.
Right.
So this was an argument that the ballers actually believed back in the day when the Black Swan came out. They believed that you could scale the size of the Earth and still have the exact same heliocentric universe.
At best, you debunk the radius.
It's the lesser of two evils, actually. So, as QE's pointed this out many times, although they didn't realise and still don't when they bark it at us or gurk it at us, which is refraction is actually the concession that they've lost. It's the end of the argument. Their argument's a geometric claim. The moment they say it's refracted, the horizon, that is, they've lost.
Yep.
So therefore, the lesser of two evils is to not say it's not geometric. In other words, retain its geometry and justify it in a different way. Oh, it's still geometric, it's just much bigger. Retaining the physicality. At least, I would say that's... If I was stuck between that rock and that hard place, that would be the more intelligent choice to argue.
You can trick us, Nathan. We know refraction is the answer. You can't scale up the Earth.
Debunks the claim. The claim in the first instance is a geometric one. The horizon in the maths is geometric. That's what Earth curve. That's Earth curve. The claim is Earth curve, and they say you can't see Earth curve. Refracted. That's the concession. That's the end of the argument. So, like I say, let's say it's bigger.
Yeah, it was a great argument, because back in the day when they were arguing the Black Swan, so they would point out, okay, the horizon is behind the oil rig, and then they would say, okay, I'll concede that, but what's making the bottom of this oil rig disappear? Now, just follow that for a second.
Not Earth curve.
The horizon.
The horizon.
Exactly. They are self-defeating themselves, because they're saying the horizon's behind it, but in front of it, it still can't see it. So what's causing it? Optics, obviously. They're conceding optics no matter what they do.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's all wavy. Come on, refraction. It's obviously not actually there. It's way lower down in view, but you don't see that geometric horizon and all that.
That's an interesting side claim that they've never really addressed either, which is, if refraction is sufficient to bring the majority of the tops of things back into view, why can't it bring the bottom of the thing back into view?
The current claim, according to Lieu, is...
The retrorefraction is already complicated enough as it is, okay? Don't start actually trying to tinker it.
With it.
The current claim is the geometric horizon is the unrefracted horizon. We started this with where they're at. Well, that's where they're at. Now, I do not see that a refracted horizon, which is now included in the metabump calculation, so you can work it out, how even that is slightly commensurate with the Black Swan pictures. Happy birthday, Black Swan, by the way. Yeah, you can refract 7/6 on your horizon calculations, and it's pertinent because this is where they've now gone to, and this is the reality of, or the implications of denying reality of where the ballers are at, is that they can't use 7/6 to apply it to their horizon and refract that. They have to use what Ruhi calls infinite refraction, which is basically because I can see shed loads further than any previous pre-assumptions have figured out. You now have to make new maths up, and the maths are so bad. The only way to describe this phenomena is as infinite refraction, which is basically the further you can see, the more the refraction makes everything look flat and apply to scales of perspective. And that's the other point.
It's like unfolded spiral refraction.
Sorry, Owen. I'll do this to Adam. Part of the bait and switch that Adam just dropped in, I don't know if it was inadvertently or deliberately. Adam said phenomena, right? That's a clever magic trick that's been foisted upon the Western world. The phenomena is just seeing something. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I just see something, that's a concrete noun, is it not?
That hence the pause, yeah. So you pick correctly. Yeah.
So this is where the magic tricks is worked out. So if something is believed in your mind's eye to not supposed to be there, that would be to say that ordinarily, when things are ordinary, correct, right, I can't see this clock. It's hidden by Earth curve. That's the physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve. It's hidden behind it. Therefore, when I just see it, it's actually not supposed to be seen, therefore a phenomena. And we need to explain this phenomena. We need to start sciencing it, right? Establishing the cause of why we're seeing it. The cause is obviously terrestrial refraction based on an R value I can't measure anymore. Well, are you some sort of flat earther? Yeah. So, we've suddenly conjured into existence a phenomena where one isn't existing. Just looking at something. What's that? It's the Chicago skyline. Okay? But why do we see it? Sorry, why do I see it? Because I've got a set of eyeballs looking at it. No, we need to explain why we're seeing it because we shouldn't be seeing it. Sorry, why shouldn't I be seeing the Chicago skyline? I can see it. No, you shouldn't be able to see it. Therefore, it's a mirage. All right. Here's me just looking at it. You say I shouldn't see it, and because I do see it, it's a mirage. Because according to you, I shouldn't be able to see it when I can see it. Okay, so it's a phenomena then, and we should science this. Me just seeing something. Oh, there's the magic trick. It's not a phenomena. You're just looking at the Chicago skyline. You see it because it's there. But for the fact that you've got a fundamentalist religious belief in a sphere edge horizon getting in the way, you wouldn't believe it was a phenomena to see it. You just see it.
Well, they're making a big mistake even before that, showing that they don't know what a mirage is, because that Chicago skyline is not a mirage, because the definition of mirage is having more than one object there. That was just the Chicago skyline. There wasn't another inverted object there. You know, with superior and inferior mirages, it requires an extra image, at least one. So they're showing right away that they don't know what the weatherman, I suppose that he was. He's a numpty.
The inferior part of it was hidden by Earth curve.
I think he probably improvised in the moment, and he actually accidentally tapped into, well, the remainder of the lore of actual miraging effects and all that.
Well, that just shows that even the experts don't know what refraction is. So if the experts don't know what refraction, he's an expert, obviously, right? Maybe not. He's a little higher on the pecking order than your, average knuckle dragger, baltard, right? But they don't know what they have never known. I've said this and demonstrated it over and over again, that they don't know what refraction is. Number one, they don't know what type of refraction they're even discussing. That went on earlier today, before the show started, in text chat, when somebody showed up and just with an ambiguous claim that they talk about refraction. What are we supposed to do, QE? They're talking about refraction in the Naval Almanac. So my question back to him was, what type of refraction was that from Elmer Fudd's Sophistry's Naval Almanac, please? He didn't, he was clueless. He didn't know. He's not going to give me an answer because he doesn't know. Right? They don't know what it is on a fundamental level. Even if they did know that they don't even know that they're invoking terrestrial refraction. They don't know what that is, right? To invoke terrestrial refraction, two necessary antecedents must exist. First, number one, you need to have curved gases, and that's numpty off the reservation. Remember, the prosecution rests after just that one because gases don't curve. They have no inherent shape. I just rest with that. However, they also need, with terrestrial refraction, the R value. I mean, the subject matter expert, Andrew Thomas Young, lays it out in definition right there in front of them, but still, they refraction, they have no clue. None. Zero. Never did. Thanks.
Right. Well, terrestrial refraction is a 21st century phenomenon, right? A construct from the 21st century. So a lot of the people out there that are seated in media and doing their thing, their education did not encompass that, even if they were part of like the club and knowing about machinations. So it's really fresh, right? Nobody really knows what terrestrial refraction is because it's only a recent development, right? They haven't gotten used to quickly bend their minds around that their sight basically is not revealing things where they really are and all that, right? They're not used to that. That's going to take some time, if ever.
Nathan interrupted me for good reason, and I didn't lay it as a trigger point, Nathan. I was talking as if I'm them. But what you jumped on was the whole point for me, yeah, which I didn't intend. So respect, but you picked on it, and it's the point that, as I'm describing it from Ruth's point, this is a phenomena. It's something that shouldn't be happening in their world. In their world, you should not be able to see that far because the horizon is a physical edge blocking it. So something has to be. And we go on to mirages, all that sort of stuff. But the fundamental thing is, it's that pre-assumption that what we're observing is in looking at something over there, however far away it is. The reason I can see it suddenly when it gets to a certain distance is because I've pre-assumed R. That's not, to me, a phenomenon. It's as you jumped on, that's a pre-assumption to make it something of observation.
Yeah, but there is an underlying phenomena that humans haven't understood until modern technology, and that is when you look out into the world and you see it optically, you assume that objects are where they look to be, and that there's no real loss of information, and that the only way for something to disappear from view is to be behind something. But we know now that you can lose something in angles, right? So the phenomena is, why is it that my vision has dead spots? And they look out into the world and only see it as an object rather than an optical phenomenon, and then they reverse engineer object constancy and say, well, if I can't see the bottom of this thing, obviously something's in the way of it. Not realizing that they're, making that logical blunder there.
I
Then
don't
might
think
fall for
that's
it
correct.
temporarily, but
Owen,
if you
just let me have
persist,
this.
this intellectual dishonesty, right? Because it's very easy to figure out that like things disappear, right? Just go over a bridge, put a camera on it, and things literally
Yeah, but
disappear.
I'm talking about before. I'm talking about before anybody had technology to do such things.
Yeah, let me just. I don't think that's strictly true. If we look at optics and we look at how we comprehend things and we look at Rayleigh criterions, here is this, all these angle of incidence, understanding of these things that have been developed from in modern descriptions from the 1800s onwards, but I think were accepted beforehand. It's only when we wish to apply or choose not to apply this knowledge that exists in everything else, when we're discussing the earth. That's the reality of where the mugging off is. It's not a lack of understanding and comprehension of optics. That's there. It's a willingness to disregard this understanding when we're talking about observing over the earth.
Give you an example to back Adam, so it's not pinned on intellectual dishonesty as Arwin did a moment ago. I'm not going to go against Darwin. I'll just give a different example, which is to say, you see this exhibited on our own side, and the statement as follows: "We see too far." End quote. You'll see that a lot from flat earthers. Makes my skin crawl. Too far? That's a remnants of the heliocentric programming manifesting in that statement from the flat earther. Too far, you say? So the implication being there should be a limitation to your view based on an R value, because that's what you've been programmed to believe. And when we see beyond that distance that we're told there should be an obstruction at, it's too far, because there should be an obstruction. The frame of mind of the flat earther is, should be an obstruction? Well, no, there shouldn't be an obstruction. You just see it because it's there. Why would you phrase it that you see too far? Well, because you're still programmed, as much as you're using this example to show that the Earth's flat, presumably, when you say we see too far. But too far shows the programming, shows that you still have that mindset that there's going to be a limitation, and when there isn't, it's further than we should see. No, we shouldn't have a limitation to our view. That's just how we've been programmed to believe the world will present itself. And it doesn't. Don't think you see too far when you just see something. You just see it.
Yeah, and that's on a higher level, but I'm speaking more on the base level, which is when you're growing up as a kid, you start to develop motor skills and three-dimensional understanding of object permanency. There's a specific phase in childhood development where they can understand that an object that goes behind another object still exists in 3D space. Like it's well documented, but there's a way in which that can be hijacked because that's the experience that you have growing up. If the bottom of something or the side of something, or like if my mom puts a ball behind her back and I only see half the ball, I know the other half is there. So the assumption that it optically disappears only and doesn't have a physical object in front of it is a leap. You know, it's not just something that we're going to experience. But now, yes, we do have the technology, the education, you know, the laws of perspective that were done in the art, all of that stuff to draw from. But in our base level experience growing up, we still go through those same psychological development stages. And that's when they get the kids at that stage. And that's why it's so visceral when you say the bottom of something is gone. The only thing that can cause that is an object in front of it. That hits people. That's what most Globers honestly believe is themselves having witnessed the curve of the earth. Is the bottom of something disappears.
That's because that's the only thing in their column. So at one stage, Tim Osman went to the effort of giving credence to a list that had been made by Everett Anderson, and the list contained all of the quote-unquote excuses for Earth curve. There's a whole great big long list of things that flat earthers have attributed to the horizon. You know, falling victim to the burden of proof reversal fallacy and trying to justify what the horizon is and giving their claims for it. I've done it myself. So, you know, we're all guilty, except QE. And
Correct.
in so doing, you get to this stage where you've got a reification of your horizon in your mind, and that reification is suddenly only applicable in a flat Earth world that you've got to justify with 100 different things on the list. Well, the other half of that, if you set that aside, they're taking the mickey out of us for having a whole load of excuses for Earth curve. The other side of that is their list has only got one thing in it. What's the reason the boat disappears from bottom up? There's only one reason, according to their model, Earth curve. There is no other reason for it. That's the only reason. The geometry of the physical obstruction known as Earth curve gets in the way, obviously. Well, what else? Well, no, that's it. That's the only reason. Then you get to a stage where people, I think it was Anna Walk or someone similar, was shown a koi boat going into the distance long before the claim of Earth curve horizon is going to block the bottom of it. And lo and behold, the bottom's obscured. Now, when the person on the globe side says, well, that's just down to optics, well, you've only got one thing in your list. There's only one reason when you get to Earth curve assumptions for things disappearing. Not Earth curve and optics. They've hijacked that to remove perspective, put it in Muppet vision. It's definitely not accounting for optics. It's only Earth curve that gets in the way. When you say, oh, well, some of them believe that that's the only reason that the horizon is what it is, it's like, well, yeah, that's the basic premise of the sphere Earth belief. The horizon is Earth curve. That's what you believe if you're on a sphere. It's the only reason things disappear bottom up. Only reason.
That's
And to be fair, they have adapted their rhetoric in so much as they've started to say, oh yes, it's Earth curve plus optics, and I've always said that. You know, like for example, Rumpus, he likes to say that, like he pretends that he's always used optics as an argument, which he hasn't.
That's not true. Mitchell's here, and he's done the table stuff, you know, with cameras and stuff. That's not in any of their calculations. They're only their calculations, and the only ones they ever demonstrate are from a geometric obstruction point of view. All they do. They might stick a bit of refraction in there in their favor, but what they don't account for is any of what we were discussing in terms of angle of attack. I've adopted that.
So Adam, would you agree? Would you agree that they only use those optics after the fact, after their geometric demonstration shows that you shouldn't see the object?
Back to the fundamental point, that their geometric observations say it shouldn't. What shouldn't? Shouldn't where? Why? Because they assume they're on a ball already. So and that was what Nathan picked me up on. They're trying to describe something as if it's special. It's not special. They just don't understand what they're seeing. It's a little bit backwards in a way, isn't it? Oh, look, magic. Magic must be ball. Yeah? When you don't understand perspective and optics. Yeah? It's very ignorant, actually, to look at something, have multiple demonstrations and how your distance can be, view to distance can be changed, and even then stick with the fundamental premise that view to distance change mean ball, mean shape of ball. It's almost like a caveman with reality when those things there. And that's the point. When you show them these pictures, they will not, or this was my first point, they will not attribute any of this optical knowledge and understanding that has been here for, like I say, not just since the Enlightenment, but through all of history. We've understood how we view things. But when we view the Earth, the only thing that obscures things in the distance is curvature since the invention of the ball. I wouldn't attribute it to the ancients. I don't think they were that dumb.
This brings us back to the original point. So, my examples with the clock that was originally presented by Ranty Flat Earth over at Barrow in Furness. And according to a Sphere Earth believer, that's not a clock. It's a slightly looming non-standard refraction holographic projection of a clock from behind the reified, now debunked sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve. Project up above the horizon, present itself as a mirage. But it's not a clock, it's a mirage of a clock from behind the reified sphere edge horizon that's been debunked by the Black Swan. That's what you have to state if you see the clock, when you shouldn't see the clock, according to a ball Earth belief. As a flat earther, I say clock. And someone says, why? So, why am I answering a question of why when we're just looking at a clock? There is no why, just a clock. See it because it's there. There's no explanation required whatsoever. Back in the day, Isle of Man debate, spent hours and hours fruitlessly debating in a losing fallacy where they've already assumed the Earth's a sphere in a calculation called Earth curve maths. Fruitless task we've already lost. And we started arguing with them. Why? Because we're accepting that if we see something that's, quote, too far, we have to explain why we see something that's too far. We're all on both sides in agreement that there should be a horizon in the way, and when there isn't, it's too far. Because there should be a horizon in the way. No. What we should have done from day one was go, there's the Isle of Man, I see it, there it is, end of argument. No, we shouldn't see it because there should be a horizon in the way. Says you. The horizon's not Earth curve. Not blocking it. If you want to justify why it doesn't block it, because it's refracted, non-physical, physical, geometric, R-based, can't measure it, but we can because it's refracted and it's the not actual horizon. It's in a refracted, non-geometric position. Obviously, that's what they tell us now. Like, okay, double speaking fundy. You go about your day telling yourself that it's a slightly looming non-standard refraction high in a holographic projection of a clock from behind the reified, now debunked sphere edge horizon. I'll just say clock. Because I'm a flat earther.
You know what, Nate? You're just thinking there. If I was to take, like, she's fictional. She's not really my Auntie Mabel. If I was to take my Auntie Mabel, and she's got no cards in the game, yeah, and she went out on a Black Swan day, she wouldn't say, because she's got no cards in them, she would just describe, she wouldn't say I could see too far today. She could say, hey, I could see really far today. And that's the reality. It's only when you put it into a ball theology, which for most normies, in their day-to-day life, the ball isn't a reality. So when that vernacular that's used, think about the way people speak. They don't say, I could see too far today. Say I could see really far today, and they'll attribute it to a clear day, a crisp day. You know what I mean? It's only when you have to put it into the ball paradigm that the excuses fall out. That it's optics, it's 7/6R, I can see too far. That's the only time that you need to reify it in as too far. But even normies, I don't think in their standard vernacular, that was my point, do that.
Yeah, but if you're a flatty listening to this, just so you're aware, it does frustrate me when people are evidently still enslaved by the shackles of ball earth programming, because too far implies that there should be something blocking your view. So, words have meanings. Choose your words carefully.
Too bloody right. I only used the word phenomena once, and it was half an hour ago. It's a really important point. It is the fundamentals of their claim. And if you accept it's too far, you've gone into Narnia with them. You're on the ball already.
It also begs the burden of proof reversal, because then you have to explain what causes the bottoms of things to disappear, rather than just saying, hey, I'm looking out, I see some things, I notice the bottom's missing. Then they'll say, oh, well, the bottom's missing because if the Earth was a sphere, blada, blada, blada.
Well, we should, once we accept, I think as we've gone over there, that we're not seeing too far. Now, why are the things disappearing from the bottom? Wow. We've got hundreds and thousands of years of observations and understanding on that. Yeah. A bit of science as well. You know what I mean? So in terms of optics.
Stop. Why are you asking me that? Is it by any chance because you have a fundamental sphere edge horizon claim that's pretty crucial to your claim about a ball Earth? I'll ask again. Fascinating though it is that we will use this as a collective, have all of this age-old information on optics and diffraction limits. It's fascinating stuff. But why are you asking me? The boat's bottom up, quote unquote, obstructed. That's fascinating. Why am I being asked why that's happening? Nicely. Anyone see the point I'm driving at? If not, I'll highlight it.
No. No, because you didn't make a claim.
I didn't make a claim. Do I make any claims about the horizon? I absolutely annihilate their claims that the horizon's a sphere edge. Further to my annihilation of their claim that the horizon's a sphere edge called Earth curve, pray tell, what claims do I make about the horizon for me to need to explain why a boat disappears bottom up? Why would I need to explain that exactly?
Did I get the right answer?
Anyone at all going to justify why I should explain this? Why I need to go into detail about diffraction limits? Why should I?
Well, you answered.
I'm not making a claim about it.
Yeah, but you also prefaced that before, which is you could fall into that trap if you agree by saying, "Oh yeah, I see too far." Then they can get you with that. Okay, start asking those questions to you because you're then making the claim, "I can see too far," by giving into their presupposition that there's something in the way or should be.
Exactly. Beautiful summary citation, please. Thank you.
You mean
remember at best?
Hold on, citation police. Before you, hold on.
The reason why the bottom of the thing
citation police
is because of Earth curve. They're going to give you nothing but logical fallacy after logical fallacy.
Hey, sorry about that. I was on mute. I was giving the right answer. I'm talking to Nathan, right? I'm sitting there. You didn't make a claim, and then he kept going, right? And I said, "Did I get the right answer?" All the time I'm on mute. Then citation police takes it.
Fallacy. As more time progresses, the more I realise that is the trick. I'm pretty damn sure you actually told me this, QE, but just let me have my moment if that's the case.
That's fine. Go
ahead. So, the more time elapses, the more you realise that the trick is to get you making a claim about anything that they have a claim about, so that they can hold up your claim versus their model. It's called a false dichotomy fallacy. The trick starts by forcing you into a position to justify it. If you've ever heard this, how do you explain that on a flat Earth? Sorry, why would you be asking me, did I make some claim about it to prove a flat Earth? No, I did not. Oh, but when you think about it in that way, you realise that the reason they're asking you how that works on a flat Earth because they've got a fundamental claim that's based on it. And soon after you've come up with your bullshit about how you think it works on a flat bloody disc pancake, they'll start juxtaposing their actual claim against your bullshit claim you've come up with now. Because if you realise the trick, you go, why are you asking me this? Why are you asking me why boats disappear bottom up into the distance? Who cares? I don't care. Why are you asking? Oh, because you've got a claim Earth curve gets in the way. Oh, no, we debunked that with the Black Swan. Let's take a giant steaming poo on your claim. It won't change the fact that I haven't made one. And I won't need to justify anything about the horizon after I've absolutely annihilated your claim that the horizon's Earth curve. I don't have any claims about the horizon. I'm never going to either. I don't care. Stopped caring about the horizon quite some time ago, strangely enough, other than having fundamentalist zealots relying on a reification of it being Earth curve. Something I can debunk very easily. So that, who cares? I don't care. I'm not interested. Oh yeah, that's fascinating. Optics, you say? Ooh, very interesting.
The reason the burden of reversal fallacy works on us is because we're honest and we're truthers, and there's a part of us, me guilty, that I hear it everywhere. Also, there's an ego component. We can't help but share this knowledge that's bursting inside of us. So when we're given this burden reversal fallacy to deal with, it's an opportunity to expound, which is exactly the trap that the baller wants. And it takes time, patience to not respond to that, because you do, in a way, because part of you, even though you're dealing with a baller, part of you thinks you're dealing with a genuine human being, where you should cast your pearls, I think was the phrase this week. Yeah, where it's worthy of cast. And because you're a good person, you're engaging with these people because you're in this realm for truth, you do that. And that's part of the scumbaggy tricks they use to just trip you up. Where you don't go in it necessarily addressing it as a realizing that. You go into it with genuineness to just explain the point so that they can understand why that point burden reversal is a fallacy, and they could see why it's such a daft question, really.
Neil's desperately trying to get a word in. Did you want to add something, Neil? Absolutely, I totally agree. At a fundamental level, Neil. Yes, indeed.
I think it's totally wrong. What a completely silly thing to say.
Oh, don't be
Disagree,
silly.
Neil.
Be it first. Neil's always right. We've got Mitchell from us. And I was hoping at some stage to get into that I kind of stole a bit of victory where it wasn't necessarily mine to steal. I did credit him. No, that's not true. So Mitch had a tete-a-tete with Where's Wally and basically goaded him into coming on the flat earth debate to get annihilated and admit the earth's flat. Of course it is. He's measuring an angle from it, which was highly embarrassing for him. But props where props is due to Mitch. So I don't know if we've even heard from him yet. Is he around? Hey Mitch, can you hear us?
Hey guys, how are you? Yeah, I'm around. Yeah, that you can take that victory, Nathan. I didn't get him to say that he didn't have a sphere of belief. That was that was all you. That was where the argument led him to. Nathan says, "You have a sphere belief, Wally." Wally says, "No, I don't." The argument's over right there. He's no longer a sphere believer. Self-proclaimed.
No, he doesn't when he's got to measure an angle and assume a flat earth to get the angle. And he's not a sphere believer. Not at that point. I mean, when he discussed it with me in the comments, Mitch, his justification for that is to say, his assumption, where's Wally's assumption, was that I, at that stage, was begging the question of a sphere for him. That's literally his justification in the comments after the fact.
Wasn't that started by, I don't know, was it Ruif or someone with the Blackpool song where they say, well, there's a level of generosity they imply to us mere flat earthers where they say, tell you what, taking the angle, I'll give you a flat earth. There's a poker tell.
Yeah, mostly conspiracy cats that has put out the popularized video of that claim.
Is it cat?
So, yeah, it was cats. But yeah, that's still unaddressed as far as I'm concerned. No, it was actually highlighted immediately by QE. Got a lot of smoke blown up your ass this show, QE. You can do no wrong so far.
I'd like to thank my mom for having me, all my friends and family.
Bruschetta for sustaining you.
Let's just get to the argument for the audience's benefit. So the bit we're commending QE for is the fact that in the original popular video, which Kat's released, he explained that it would have been phrased or paraphrased by someone else, but I'll give you a flat earth at this stage where I'm measuring an angle to make comparisons. And not only did QE point out that nobody's measuring jack, who's out there with a bloody sextant measuring these angles? Nobody. Further to that, give you a flat earth? No, you'll require one to make an assertion with any angles. So QE picked up on it back then and highlighted it and publicised it and made videos about it. I just didn't realise the implications until the sextant argument was highlighted, and I had a good understanding of it thanks to 10th Man and Brian and various others. Well, then you realise, right, can't measure an angle from a curved adjacent. It has to be flat. While he's saying, I'll give you a flat earth here. Okay, that's very kind of you. see you do it with a globe, though. But you can't. Hey, welcome to Flat Earth.
You know how they do mind games, Dave, right? And I like a word, magnanimous, right? And it's almost like a bit of reverse psychology here when they say that. I'll give you this. It's kind of a reverse anti-magnanimous, right? Because we know that their position's weaker than ours. But let me give you the definition of magnanimous, and then it might make a bit of sense. Adjective: generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less powerful person. Yeah. Now it's kind of the anti of that. They know their position is so weak that at the point of, as QE points out, to accept that we take it off of flat Earth destroys their argument. They're anti-magnanimous, and they give it us because they know their argument's so weak they can't deal with that, even that fundamental, before to move on to the implications of the angle they've taken. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, they're trying to appear magnanimous.
Yeah.
I know what you're driving at.
Anti-magnanimous, must be a better.
There's another subtle little point that was lost, and I'd like to bring it up, since Nathan brought it back to that point, because there was a lot of pomp and circumstance with the Blackpool Swan, and a lot of theatrics right at the beginning of the presentation, and he kind of Jedi mind tricked everyone. I know he didn't Jedi mind trick the Baltards, because they're not paying any attention anyway. Even if they were, they wouldn't have caught it. When he said angular size, you never calculate angular size. You measure it. The key word, angular. Get it, everyone? Another subtle little point in there. You're welcome.
I did just mention it. No, I did mention that specifically and credit you for it. Literally 3 minutes ago, I said you pointed out who's out there actually measuring these angles.
Right. Hold on, Adam. The first point was to measure the angle. You need a flat baseline or a non-curved adjacent. The second point is that you don't ever calculate that value, angular size. Never, ever, ever. It's always a measured value. See, they don't understand, the Baltards in general don't understand the difference between measurement and calculation. That's the second point. There was a bunch of other points with that. I got them written down somewhere. I can't find them, but go ahead, Adam.
Well, it's to address that point, actually, John. I don't have the paper to hand. Gleam, if he's about, send me this paper, because it was him that brought it up on one of Ranty's old shows, addressing rumpus and stuff. And it comes to like analysing photographs. And one of these surveyors is kind of doing this and does a paper on it, kind of taking photographs, and even just taking a photograph down his hallway and using the photograph to calculate angular size and apparent and real size, calculating it from it, and then using theodolite measurements to it, and showing a massive difference there. And this is part of the fallacy that he used. There's nothing wrong with angular size if we're measuring, as you state it. But what we tend to see presented by anti-flat earthers are pixels as a representation, as if they mean something, as if they are a measured angle, and they're not. They're a picture that you then stick a ruler to. I think is probably a year ago we raised that point. So all you're fundamentally doing is sticking a ruler onto a photograph. It doesn't mean anything. If all you're going to do is look at those pixels, you've got no scalar distances. You need 1 million rulers over 1 million centimeters. You know what I mean? So, that.
I got one in here now. R.C. Meisty, numpty dipshit. Guess what here's what he says as a response to what I just said. Is a calculation somehow less valid than a measurement? You dumbass cracker, you.
Is that not
No, hold on. Let's just see. So, if I calculate quantity of magical toadstools that a unicorn consumes, is that better calculation than an actual measurement of unicorn toadstool consumption? Which is better? Just forgot to add, I do have the calculation right here, right now.
If you could measure them, are we assuming you could measure here these things you just described?
No, we're not assuming anything. So, can I measure toadstool consumption of a unicorn, Adam?
Okay, I've got you. Yeah, okay. No, not if you're just taking a picture of it. No, you couldn't measure the toadstool consumption within a picture to then calculate the angle of toadstools. Is that?
You know, I've got plenty of calculations. The unicorn consumption of toadstools, Adam. I've got those calculations pegged. You know, I know the digestive tract, time it takes, full shebango. I mean, obviously, these things don't exist beyond this mathematics, but it doesn't change the fact that I have definitely calculated all this stuff.
You see that, RC Meisty? Did you see my rebuttal, you numpty dipshit? Angular size is always measured. It's a sight exercise. From teacherlink.ed. Angular size. An object's angular size is the angle between the lines of sight to its two opposite sides. An object's angular size is a measure of how large the object actually appears to be, which is a function of both actual size and distance away. There's 6 more from academia that destroys you. It says the same thing.
Oh, question, John. If I'm going to measure the angle of something, or between two things, how many positions do I need to set my optical object between? It's not a trick one. It's just object A and object B require alignment, don't they, to measure the angle between them from my point. Yeah. If I take a photograph, that's all I've done. I've only taken an image of both objects from one perspective, however they appear and wherever they appear in the photograph. I'm actually measuring something. Yeah. That's very different to then taking a singular image and calculating stuff from that singular image. That's the reification for me that's gone off from the black swan, and before that, even by flat earthers, myself included. You know, we reify this image as a measurement. It's not. It's an optical representation based on many things.
Yep, he's toast. He just confirmed that he's my whole point.
It's funny stuff.
I heard you. That choked you up there, Don.
It really did.
It's in the word or the phrase. Angular size. Duh.
On a side note, you're going to need a flat plane to measure that angular size.
That depends on where you're looking. If it's the angular size of something in the sky, then that's a little different. But if you're calculating the angular, the elevation angle, like those numpties were doing with the black pole swan, then you're in trouble.
Disagree.
Go ahead.
I agree with Nathan.
No, go ahead.
You're gonna unless you're just calculating the distance between 2 points in the sky, which is well known, i.e. two stellar objects, which is well known and therefore not worth calculating. And you're still, and even if you're doing that, you're still going to use assuming you're using a sextant with a standard optical thing, you're still going to use your eye and the knowledge that it's a flat plane you're looking across to generate that horizontal to then define the angle from. Because where else is the angle being defined? Even if, like I say, unless you're taking two individual points in the sky and saying they're that far.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. Yes.
Yeah, but other than that, you've always got to reference and.
Hold on. No. In that definition that Kiwi read out, when you said that, you also specified the distance must be known.
You can derive the distance.
Well, hold on a second. We're going off on a tangent. Hold on a second. Hold on, Adam. If I'm calculating the angular size of the sun, I don't need a flat horizontal.
As a devoted ball conceptualist.
Devout.
Sorry, as a devout ball conceptualist, I'd like to say that the only thing that really matters is whether angular size can be represented within orthographic view.
Okay. Can't.
All right. Hold on a second. I want to go back to that was a nice red herring. Are you following me, Adam? With the angular size of a celestial object, right? Something up in the sky.
Yes. So we can say the moon is 1 degree.
We could do the moon. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is the exception to if I made the statement, any angle measurement would always require a flat plane to measure. That would be false, because if you point a sextant at the moon, you can take the degrees between one straight line to it and the other straight line to the other side.
Correct.
I could take the sextant, Nathan, and look at your cigarette packet on your table or your coffee cup on your table and calculate the angular size of its diameter with the sextant if I wanted to. So I'd line one side up with what. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. But what's it useful for? When's this useful?
It isn't particularly, other than, like say, defining things that were already known, i.e. the width, the angular size of the moon. Lovely, brilliant. Moving on. Now, what we're going to use that angular size of the moon with, and what we're going to reference it to, the thing that a sextant references things to, is the flat baseline. And that is.
Sure. I gotcha. So if it's only the thing you just happen to want to know how big it is, apparently from where you are. Other than that, the only thing that's going to be useful in terms of measuring it for positional data or GP or anything like that, then you're going to need a flat plane. But if you just happen to want to know how many degrees it is, then you don't need a flat plane for that.
You want to know how big your coffee cup is from 5 meters away in angular size, you can use a sextant for that. If you want to navigate or across the plane, then you're going to work with the assumption you've got a flat plane underneath you, and that's the reference point that you're going to use all your angular calculations from. You're going to take your measurements from that flat plane. But you can use it for other things, like I said.
Okay.
For this one. Yeah.
We good?
I think so. It's just certain carte blanche statements that you cannot make in that regard, and it's useful to know.
Yes. Yeah. It's minor stuff, but it'll keep you from, like, not you, but the royal you, keep people from falling into a trap. So we've been going for over 2 hours. I think it's about time to wrap it up. So go ahead, Nathan. Oh, do you want me to unmute these guys? We can go down the list.
You're not asking me to do it, are you?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Do you want me to? I'll go ahead and do it. So almost exactly. How's it going today? Concerns, comments, questions?
Good. No, just a quick comment. I mean, I just came here right at the end. Yeah, you are correct in your question / statement, Nathan. When you're measuring angular size, you don't need a flat horizontal plane. It's not like an elevation angle.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a half a degree of the sun or moon, either or, that's an angular measurement, like QE said, which does not need a baseline.
Yeah, he caught that. Yeah, I think he got it immediately.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's why I said question / statement. It was more of a statement. Yeah.
Cool. Is that it?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
All right, man. Thanks for coming. A
Useful.
person. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nathan.
And I was just going to say, it's just not very useful. So unless you're looking at, I mean, I'm holding a bottle of Coke right now, but you pop it on the table and someone says, "Oh, I'm going to ship a load of bottles of Coke. Do you know how big it is?" You go, I'm not going to go up and measure its actual size with the tape measure, but I can give you it in radians. I got a sextant.
That's all the sextant does. Okay, that's all it's as Tenth described it, it's just a glorified protractor. Only when you apply it to the stars and the knowledge that the Earth is a flat plane that we dwell upon top, that it has really profound implications to these angles. But with that, its use is fundamentally based upon the fact that you're creating a baseline when you measure an angle, an elevation angle to these celestial objects. Yeah, that's the thing. But fundamentally, as Tem says, it's a glorified protractor. It's what you do with it and where it's applicable. Whether you measure your Coke lid, your coffee cup, or the angle off a flat surface to a celestial object.
Cool. A person. Questions, comments, concerns. Yeah, he might be away from his mic. Arwen, questions, comments, concerns, channel shout-outs. Oh, sorry. A person just came off mute. Hold up a second, Arwen. A person, go ahead. I seen you come off.
No, we didn't.
Hold on,
I saw him off
Arwen.
mute.
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm just listening. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I know you did. Thanks for the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Arwen, comments, concerns, questions, channel shout-outs.
Well, I am very concerned for the globe model, especially the trouble that its proponents have in keeping track of priorities and short-term reality oversight, right? So there's a lot of developments that are necessary for the continuation of the globe model, yet it does not seem like the actual front runners out there are getting a real grasp on it anytime soon. They're all still just struggling and doing their own thing, and yeah, it's very worrisome for them, right? Yeah, my channel is ARWIJN. I have a Flat Earth Early Bird show every day. I participate a lot in chat, so subscribe to my channel and hope to see you there.
Arwen,
And
go ahead.
by the way,
Arwen,
I'm
go
a
ahead
flat
and
earther.
spam the link of your channel. You can put so people got a hold of it.
All right, I will do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Citation Police. Comments, concerns, questions.
Let's see. I'd still like to know how high you have to be to see the curve of the Earth.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or how you derive a physical location of an apparent position. Either one of those.
I predict you're not going to get any answers to those.
There's a good shout out, Nathan Oakley channel. There's a good after show debate, I think, on that. I'm not sure when it'll be coming up. Was it Fridays? Oh, Nathan. It was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's out on Tuesday. If you, unless you remember, you can watch it now. But if you're not, Nathan Oakley channel, which is my second channel, I'll come out on Tuesday. But yes.
And that's us like flat Earth debate panel arguing amongst themselves over it. So it's quite a good little segment. I quite enjoyed it. I described it with Eli afterwards. It's like gladiator training. It was like fighting over special moves. Do you know what I mean? Just the subtle nuances that we were describing. It wasn't not like a proper fight, if anyone's going to tune in. But it's really, I think that's why I raised it in the show. It was really important to distinguish between celestial objects and, as was stated in that show, clouds even. Yeah. Shout out Awake Souls. But yeah, watch that. It's a good debate.
Data. Questions, comments, concerns, and keep it concise. Yep, you're off mute. Nothing's coming through though. Jump out and jump back in again. There you go. Don Gio. Comments, questions, concerns.
Yeah, I got here pretty late. Had to join to see how the show is going lately. I heard you say about calculation and measurements, RC. That was quite funny. You know, when calculation is like, hey, yeah, I'm 5 miles out, give or take, roughly, I'll be there soon, versus a measurement like plumbing. Like, you got to be exact with measurements. Like, if you need a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 for it's pretty simple. I don't understand how, weaseling your way around that just is not going to work. But cool show at the end. Very much appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Data's back. Hold on a second, Data. Data, go ahead. Oh, he just jumped back out again. All right. Oh, wait. Okay. Hold on a second, Data. 1 second. I got you. All right. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, like, looking at older navigation, let's say calculations, if you will, the square root comes up a lot. There's this old English rule used with the sextant, and there's a interesting instruction with the 1753 J. Scott London sextant. It says that to calculate for refraction is done by calculating your height above the the ground surface, and the calculation is very reminiscent of the square root, by the observer's height times by 1.22, giving you the distance to the horizon.
Whoa. Stop. Are you talking about the sextant?
Yeah.
No,
so I just
no.
Let me finish what I'm saying, please.
Nope, not letting you
mean,
finish, because we're not trying to calculate any refraction.
So let me
compare it. I'm going to put you on
point,
mute.
though.
Okay, you're not trying to calculate any refraction with the sextant observations or with the sextant in general. The only thing you're calculating is celestial refraction. Repeat after me. Celestial refraction.
Yeah, so let me finish, right? So when you calculate the dip, it's based on celestial refraction.
No, it's not.
The whole point is...
Wait. You
want me to read the instructions in the 17th?
Data. There are celestial refraction adjustments for when you're looking at the star based on... But there are also...
Okay.
Let me...
I have the manuals. I can read you the calculations right off the page, man. So
breathe. I'm about to back you up. There are also, refraction things based on an assumed amount of refraction, which will adjust based on observer height within the dip correction.
Okay.
Two different
things.
Now,
the dip correction is the apparent position of the horizon with the observer's height.
There is no apparent position of the horizon. Correction.
Let me finish, please. So this square root.
Well, you didn't let me. Just out of interest.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing this. We can do it after. Hold on, Adam. Hold on. These are questions, comments, and concerns, right? He can do that afterwards if he'd like. I'm not sitting here for the next 45 minutes. I said concise going over this. Okay? So we could deal with it after.
Let me concisely summarize it then. He is correct, and that's what I tried to differentiate between the two. Now, one is an adjustment, because of refraction with things that you're looking at based on what you think you might want to adjust what you're looking at. The other one is an adjustment based on an adjustment Yeah. And then that's the fundamental premise. It's an adjustment of an adjustment, because it's an adjustment of refraction based on the adjustment that because of your height, you've got to slightly adjust what is level. Yeah. So it's an adjustment of an adjustment as opposed to just an adjustment. I succinctly summarize. I thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're going to have to go into that. I'll wait for the book. Good white proof. Comments, concerns.
I mean, it's trivial. Is what I meant. It's very trivial within the mathematics. It's a fraction of a fraction instead of just being a fraction.
We got it. Thanks, Adam. Good white proof. Comments, concerns, questions.
Yeah, I just posted something in the main chat. It has nothing to do with your guys' conversation, but it does have to do with flat Earth. Excuse me, sorry. There's a Himawari 8 video I posted of a volcano going off at a certain time, and the Himawari captures it.
I watched that.
Now, is that fake or real?
Hold on. I watched that on Mitchell's channel this morning.
But where's this Himawari image taken from?
Space.
Stop it. Right? Have a laugh. Go on.
Yeah, but I mean, how could they get it like right on the dot, right when it goes off at that right exact moment, and then be able to conjure up something or Photoshop something that fast?
What do you mean, conjure it up from a place that doesn't exist? How did they take an image on time from a place that doesn't exist? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah. How are they able to do this? This seems like wizardry.
On time.
They're not, the place they're doing it from isn't real. So beyond that, it matters not. It's like arguing about the gas lamp in Narnia. Right? You're currently saying, yeah, but how does the gas lamp keep burning? And we keep saying, yeah, but Narnia is not real. You're like, yeah, but how does the gas lamp keep burning? Who cares? It doesn't matter. The place that they're claiming to take the images from isn't real. Who cares? How they did it doesn't matter. It's all fake. They're taking the images from a fake place.
Yeah. And we're going to get to Mitchell. I know that you want to say something because I did watch that on your channel this morning. I thought it was outstanding, by the way. We'll get to you here in a second. So, Linatomo, questions, comments, concerns. Be concise, please. Gotcha. Mitchell, the floor is yours.
Yeah, the guy's not going to get that we just chopped his argument off at the legs. It no longer has any standing. If it's from space, yeah, it is fake. But obviously, there are lots of people who aren't going to just accept this argument as being dead. Space is fake. So I went ahead and made a video, and I included a video from Paul on the Plane, who details it perfectly, how they can use all the data from all the radars in the world, run it through supercomputers, and they make that data look like it's images. That's exactly how you do it. If you, whoever, I don't know who just made that comment, if you want to go to my channel, Mitchell from Australia, it is my latest video. That's exactly how they make it look like it could be pictures from a place that doesn't exist. Make no mistake, it's not coming from a satellite. It's not coming from a place that doesn't exist. It is, well, he explains it. I'm not going to go into it anymore. What I was going to say.
Hold on a second, Don. Hey, Mitchell, do you have a link for that? You could put it in the YouTube chat.
I'm on my phone at the moment.
Oh, you are. I'll go chase it down.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Was someone going to say something else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question. Mitchell, would you agree that even though there could be things above us, right, it doesn't necessarily prove the shape of the Earth anyways? What we're talking about is outer space, not just, planes or other, technology above us that could be very well manipulated.
Is this one of those times when someone's trying to get someone else to make a claim that we haven't made?
No, I mean, well, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's
not
the what's outer space?
The only
Yeah,
claim that
what
we
is
make
outer
is
space? Yeah.
yeah. Well, we have no idea. The only claim that we make is space is fake.
Right.
That is the claim that we're going to make, and that's the claim we can back up. The space, you say, for gas to fill the available space? Yeah, it's fake. It's not happening.
Talking
Correct
about
me
the
if I'm wrong.
sky vacuum.
Yeah, the sky vacuum, the space. It is interesting that they call it space, the available space for the gas to fill.
I'm spamming the chat now with that video for you.
I did all that work to go get it, and then you do it. I was just about to post it.
3 times I've done it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
This isn't the argument I wanted to end on. Like, Adam, you said something before. You bring up a piece of equipment called a theodolite. The thing that we physically measure the Earth, the layout of the Earth with. We get elevation angles to things like mountains, to get data for people like cartographers to make maps from. Can we get any of those angles with a curved adjacent? No, definitely not. So every measurement that we use of the layout of the land is absolutely flat with a horizontal flat baseline. Yeah, every map that we use is a flat Earth map. For the next person is going to say, give us a flat Earth map. Every single map that we measure the layout of the land with a theodolite or a total station is a flat Earth map. If you want to check out my work, Mitchell from Australia on YouTube. And happy birthday to the Black Swan.
And to the Sextant.
Mitchell raises a good point there. If you were like a surveyor, why would you bother trekking all the way out into the middle of nowhere with your theodolite and spending all that time? Why not just send the office junior out with a camera, take a couple of pictures, bring them back to the office, have your coffee, and just pixelate it, calculate it from pixels.
That's too funny, Adam. Unbelievable. You're right.
You got Rufy on screen when that was being said, so very appropriate.
Oh,
yeah,
was
Rufy,
he?
Maybe you can start.
Did you get that, Neil? Neil Cosatino, have you got that? That's synchronism, bro.
That's synchronicity, man. The real synchronicity. All right, let's rock. Nathan, we'll come back to you. You'll take us home. Neil, it's your turn.
I agree. I mean, it's an excellent point, Neil. Thank you.
Neil!
Stop and come back, Neil.
Yeah, he needs to pop out. Yeah, that happens in Discord. It's just some strange thing. Go ahead, Neil.
Hello?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, you had said a few weeks back that you do not sneeze in your sleep. And I caught somebody sneezing twice in their sleep.
No way.
Yes, my brother-in-law.
No, I need pictures.
It happened already.
False.
It was just funny because I remembered you saying that, and I was like, what? He just sneezed, and then I walked over, and he sneezed again in his sleep.
No way, he was already up.
Hey, Neil, this is your brother-in-law that's bumming on your sofa, right? Right. He sneezed, and he pretends that he can sneeze in your sleep, and pretends he's straight back to sleep, so you don't disturb him.
Yeah.
I know you're going to agree with that.
Anyway, excellent show. And don't anybody ever call Q a swine again.
What do you mean? Who called me a swine?
Overcomer yesterday, and he's looking. I was at no reception. He said, "I'm not gonna cast my spells to swine."
Oh, he was just using a general. I got that yesterday. I wasn't in there yesterday, was I?
Yeah, maybe it was the day before. Who knows?
Yeah,
one of them days.
Before. Yeah. I got you. Okay. Steve.
Hey, how you doing, Huey?
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't have much. Thank you.
You were off mute the whole time. I just wanted to make a note of that.
Yeah, thank you.
For the record, there, Steve. So I'm not that part of the donkey.
I think I calculate that you skipped RC.
Yeah, he doesn't speak on my show.
You get the pun.
Yeah, say it again.
I think I calculate you skipped RC.
Oh, the pun. That's not a pun.
I've heard worse on Flat Earth debate, QE. I've heard worse.
Oh man, that's so well.
Yeah, but that's a category error. That's not a pun. That's irony.
There you go.
Yeah, I got you though. Yeah, he doesn't speak on my show. Ever.
It figures.
At the True Seeker, we'll go with True Seeker. We'll get to you, Adam, here in a second. True Seeker, are you off? Yeah, you're off mute. I thought I took you off mute. Go ahead, True Seeker.
Hey, QE. Good show as always. Shout out to you, Nathan, Adam, Arwen, Mitchell too. I saw his video earlier today too. It was a good video.
Yep.
I did have one question. It's related to the presentation. So I
Sure.
sent one of your videos to one of my colleagues, and he was looking through it, and he said, "Well, don't you flat earthers don't believe anything NASA comes with or any of these other institutions? Why are you guys using them as citations?"
Ah.
So what would you? Yeah, what would be the best response?
Yes, I use those as not conflict of interest, the hostile witness.
Hostile witness, QE.
I said it. Just relax, man. I got there. I got it. I use them as a hostile witness, right? Because they're telling the story, right? That's the basis of the baller storyline. That's their foundation of where they get all their information from. So I use them as a hostile witness, which is the strongest type of witness to destroy them. Does that answer your question?
I caught Paula out on this, and she used the exact same thing. And the argument is correct. It's the best kind of witness.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about evidence for the historical Jesus, and she cited Bart Ehrman. And I said, "Oh, that's a cheeky witness." And she said that the best kind is a hostile.
Yeah, the best kind is the hostile. Go ahead, Nathan. Do you want to add something to that?
No, I just agree. It's just a witness. It's the best possible type of witness because they're the ones giving out the rhetoric. If they're making your point for you from the opponent's side, obviously that's a tricky thing to pull off in the first instance. Utilizing hostile witnesses can often blow up in your face, especially if you're dealing with an ignorant person who doesn't understand citations over references. But there we go.
Ah, you made a very good point. You see, True Seeker, there's an implication to your claim that since NASA or whoever that we're dealing with are baltards, that the implication is more or less that, well, since you're using something from NASA, then you must use everything from NASA. That's an all or nothing fallacy.
Well, I like to make
that's something that. No, I was saying that is something that I did point out to him. And you know what's crazy? And I've heard you guys mention this several times in the Flat Earth debate and some of your presentations as well on BALLBUSTERS. And I use the same thing. We use him as hostile, as a hostile witness. And then his excuse was, "Oh, so you guys are just pretty much picking and choosing of what you think is correct or not."
No, we're not picking and choosing. We're picking the people that are giving them the information, their authority figures. I'm not going to Betty Crocker, right? I'm going to NASA. I'm going to academia, to all the baltards where they're getting their information from. So that is a false analogy fallacy.
I'll go back to Bart Ehrman again. Okay. Yeah. So people say there is no historical Jesus. So you take a hostile witness like Bart Ehrman, who does not believe in the Bible or even anything like that, yet he will demonstrate to you there is a biblical Jesus. He's there in the historical records in bits and bobs. Yeah. And it's that same premise that you take to NASA. You're not asking them to prove it's a flat Earth, but you do cite them when they say you can't have gas pressure without containment. It's the validity is in the opponent's world fundamentally. That's why it's so hurtful.
Bash.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would they like? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Nathan. Go ahead.
Who is it I was talking to? Who is it that was asking the question?
Truth Seeker.
Truth Seeker. When it comes to giving citations, and I've got this from QE, who's basically perfect. On its face value, any citation is a baseless assertion. So the strength is going to be in the argument that you make. So in many ways, if they focus on the citation too much, they're majoring on the minors, because the argument, if the argument as just suggested is gas pressure without a container, you go to a NASA citation that specifically details gas pressure being the force exerted on the walls of a container. You cite that, and then they focus on it's NASA. They think the Earth's a sphere. They think space is real. They're ignoring your actual argument and focusing on the citation. For that reason, I tend not to cite very much at all ever, because when QE pointed that out to me, I was like, so I don't actually need citations ever then. Just strengthen your argument. They lend credence and validity to your argument, but they don't make the argument. They're not the argument itself. You can do that without citation for the most part. Well, mainly because I'm lazy. But yeah, it sounds like they're ignoring your argument and focusing on the citation.
Here's another twist, Truth Seeker. If I'm trying to debunk, I treat myself as a prosecutor, right? If I'm trying to invalidate something or debunk something hyper specifically, let's say the globetard, who else would I put on the stand other than NASA? Am I going to put Joe the TV repairman on the stand? Nope. Right? So I'm going to take the major pushers of the fairy tale, throw their butts on the stand, and start dealing. Follow?
Yep.
So try to put that court case to him and see if that turns a light bulb on. It's a moronic statement by him, moronic, by the way.
Because it's like in the same court analogy, it's like saying you're cross-examining somebody who believes he's innocent. But yeah, I am. I'm getting him to prove my case for me. But because he's on the other guy's side, it makes it all in no.
Yeah.
But other than that, QE, I do want to mention, on his behalf at least, he has benefited from much of what you said, and there were some points that you mentioned where he couldn't really answer me back on. He was like, you know what? Whoever you sent me that presentation from, he does have a good point on that. But that was pretty much one of his, get out of jail cards, was trying to use that citation point. But other than that, it was clear to me. It was clear to me.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Adam Meakin.
Yeah, well, shout outs. First shout out, Truth Seeker. Me, Owen, had a really good chat in the week. Real, genuine gentleman that I enjoyed chatting with, and a shout out to him. Next is to Mitchell. Can't wait for class to start again. I'm enjoying the little vids, but yeah. Happy New Year, mate. I've not had a chance to speak to you since. What that is, I don't have a channel to shout out, so other than obviously seeing me on here and Earth debate most of the time, isn't it, as well? A good show, QE. I enjoyed it. Actually, really enjoyed it tonight. It's been a good old natter, hasn't it? Not interrupted with no numpty ball-tard, so just genuine, honest chat. So yeah, good show, and I suppose happy birthday, Black Swan.
And happy birthdays, Black Swan and a Sextant.
Let me not forget the sextant then, and happy birthday, little sextant.
Little sextant. Yeah. But one thing before I get back to you, Nathan, I know you want to take us home. Listen, we have upcoming Tuesday. Just be flexible. That time might change to an hour earlier because that's the only day within the next 5 days that reach 50 degrees, and that's my magic degree level to shoot. So just be a little flexible on Tuesday. That's all I want to say. Nathan, sir, take us home.
That's what I get a word in just before I did. I had to bring.
Well, I just wanted to know whether that window was optical window or an aerodynamic window.
It's a boom. It's a metaphorical window, dude.
No, I was relating it to archery, which I assume is what the window was for.
The window of opportunity is open Tuesday because I seen 54 degrees today. Tonight it's going to be 16. We just got a boatload
54?
54 degrees Tuesday. So I will be out there. Like I said, tonight's 16 degrees, and we got a little bit of snow out there. Just had a little bit of a snowstorm happen. So other than that, Nathan, sir, take us home.
First and foremost, be here or be sphere for another chance to watch Charles' Flat Earth Math. His ass handed to him based on his lies about the R values. That's going out on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley, right now. So the premiere has started. So check it out, be here or be sphere. The link is going by in the Quantum Eraser live stream chat as we speak. Massive thank you to all of today's live stream public panel for making today's interactive part of the show possible. Most importantly, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the live stream audience on Quantum Eraser for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, becoming a Quantum Eraser Patreon and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Ballbusters for making the show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Be here or be sphere for Charles Flat Earth Maths Annihilation on the Nathan Oakley channel, and we will see you all in the next Ballbusters.